Welcome to the Smurfs of the Law. In this story, a simple disagreement in Smurf Village turns into a lesson about fairness, teamwork, and a bit of chaos. This is chapter 1 of a 7-part adventure, so get ready to dive into the first episode and see how it all begins. The Smurf Village basks in the warmth of a beautiful summer afternoon, with mushroom houses scattered peacefully and Smurfs going about their daily activities in a serene environment. Lazy Smurf is seen waking up from a nap as the sound of chirping fills the air. Working Smurf pushes a wheelbarrow filled with sacks, moving carefully along a path while the Lazy Smurf annoyed by chirping wheelbarrow wheel. Lazy Smurf suggests that the wheelbarrow's wheel could use some oil, but Working Smurf teases with quickly apologizes for disturbing Lazy Smurf's nap. Despite the peaceful atmosphere that holds little disturbance, Gardener Smurf tends to his garden while Working Smurf continues to push the wheelbarrow, both busy with their tasks. A determined Smurf suddenly declares that he has had enough and cannot continue in the current way, clearly frustrated by the situation. The frustrated Smurf approaches Gardener Smurf, who is relaxing with a drink, complaining that his plants are growing poorly, while the Gardener Smurf suggests using fertilizer as a solution. The upset Smurf approaches another who is sitting relaxed with a drink, explaining that his plants are growing terribly and something must be done. The gardening Smurf suggests that the plants might need some fertilizer, speaking calmly and logically. Gardener Smurf firmly insists that the hedge is his and he will cut it whenever he wants, while the upset Smurf listens with a stern expression. The upset Smurf accuses the other of letting the hedge grow tall so he can smurf his feet, but the Gardener Smurf denies it, explaining that it is to avoid the other smurfing his head all day long. Their argument is interrupted by Lazy Smurf, who tells them to stop smurfing each other and asks if they are finished, urging them to calm down. The both Smurfs agree to seek advice from Papa Smurf, deciding to settle their dispute by getting his opinion, and they head off together. Inside his workshop, Papa Smurf announces that the silver strips have been fully covered in the spirit of niter. Papa Smurf carefully pours a chemical while saying he needs to add a bit of green lion or vitriolic acid to the mixture. Suddenly, Papa Smurf is startled by loud shouting outside his door, with angry and gardening Smurfs repeatedly calling his name in urgency. The interruption disrupts his delicate work, making him look up in surprise, and the chemical mixture is dropping onto Papa Smurf's hand. Papa Smurf reacts with pain, exclaiming "Ow! Ow! Ouch!" as he appears to have been hurt, while two Smurfs rush to his side to see what happened. Gardener Smurf asks Papa Smurf if he is hurt, while Papa Smurf explains that he accidentally smurfed a drop of acid on his finger and wonders why both Smurfs would smurf like that. Angry Smurfs explains that the problem comes from his neighbor whose hedge is so high it blocks sunlight from their plants, and he refuses to cut it. Gardener Smurf argues that the angry Smurf is a nosy culprit who watches him when the hedge is trimmed. Papa Smurf considers the situation and concludes that the gardener wants privacy in his garden and that his right to do so must be respected. The Gardener Smurfs agree with a knowing smile. But Papa Smurf also suggests that the Gardener Smurf could show some goodwill by cutting his hedge up to the boundary. The upset Smurf nods and asks if the Gardener Smurf can hear Papa Smurf's suggestion. Gardener Smurf asks if the hedge should be cut to the height of a Smurf wearing a hat, and Papa Smurf answers that is how any self-respecting Smurf would want it. Gardener Smurf decides to take action by going to get the shears, and upset Smurf that now has calmed down compliments him for being so helpful and cooperative. The problem resolved, the village is calm again as one Smurf rakes the grass while Vanity Smurf washes clothes in a tub nearby, restoring peace to the Smurf village. Vanity Smurf cheerfully sings a tune while washing clothes, enjoying the peaceful moment. The Vanity Smurf happily carries a basket of clean laundry, humming a cheerful tune as he enjoys the sunny day in the village. Suddenly, he notices smoke rising near his freshly hung clothes, and in surprise he is questioning what is happening. Not far from him, another Smurf rushes carrying branches to burning branch area, prompting a Vanity Smurf to comment aloud that the mischievous Smurf fire has started again. Vanity Smurf angrily scolds the fire-starting Smurf for always lighting fires whenever he hangs her laundry, demanding he put it out immediately. The fire-starting Smurf defiantly refuses to extinguish the fire, reminding Vanity Smurf that he lit it while he was hanging the clothes, and Vanity Smurf angrily calls him a bad Smurf. Deciding to settle the dispute, The two Smurfs agree to seek Papa Smurf's judgment to resolve their argument. Inside his laboratory, Papa Smurf is busy mixing ingredients and explaining the chemical process involving red cinnabar Smurfing under the retort neck as he works on an experiment. The two Smurfs approach Papa Smurf, rushing asking for his opinion on their ongoing problem, while Papa Smurf, somewhat exasperated, questions if this is happening again. Papa Smurf advises Vanity Smurf to do his laundry in the morning so it will be dry by afternoon. He then tells Firestarter Smurf to light his fire at sunset when the air is cooler and the smoke will rise straight up, to which the Smurf agrees hesitantly. After answering, Papa Smurf quickly pushed them away through front door, announcing he has something important to attend to. Vanity Smurf comments that Papa Smurf is in a grumpy mood while the other adds that with age, he becomes increasingly irritable. After the commotion, Lazy relaxes on a pillow and sighs with relief, appreciating the sudden quietness around him after the arguments. Suddenly, a loud horn blast startles the Lazy Smurf, making him jump up in surprise. Annoyed, the Smurf yells that he won't let the Harmony Smurf disturb his ears, but the Harmony Smurf explains he must practice because the summer fair is coming soon. The irritated Lazy Smurf demands that the practicing one take his music deep into the woods and leave him alone, while the Harmony Smurf cheekily points out that his nap has already lasted an hour. The annoyed Lazy Smurf storms off, declaring he will report the noisy one to Papa Smurf, while the Harmony Smurf holding a trumpet defiantly agrees to do the same. Suddenly loud complaints catch the attention of other Smurfs nearby, who pause their activities and look on as tensions rise in the village square. Papa Smurf appears to who is shouting. Papa Smurf emerges from his house, clearly frustrated, and tells the bickering Smurfs that he has had enough of their constant arguments and disturbances. He then announces that if they cannot settle things on their own, there is only one solution left: they must create a code to live by, much to the confusion of the Smurfs. Papa Smurf explains that this code will be a rulebook outlining what behaviors are acceptable and which are forbidden, aiming to prevent future quarrels. He urges everyone to think carefully about the rules and announces a meeting in 3 days where they will draft a collective Smurf code of orderliness. Papa Smurf insists that no objections will be entertained, fearing that without cooperation, he will be overwhelmed by the task of enforcing the rules alone. In the days that follow, the entire village contemplates the new regulations, with one Smurf firmly forbidding others from crossing his field. One Smurf sits by the river with his fishing rod, firmly declaring that it is forbidden to throw anything in the river. Nearby, another Smurf guards his raspberry bush, warning others that it is forbidden to Smurf his raspberries while passing by. He gestures sternly to make sure his point is understood. At a workshop, Handy Smurf is sharpening tools loudly while another complains from a window that Smurfing like that in the open air shouldn't be allowed. Meanwhile, Smurfette wipes her brow with relief, announcing that she has finally finished her chores. She stands surrounded by flowers and cleaning supplies, looking tired but satisfied. Smurfette examines herself in the mirror with dismay, lamenting that she looks awful, all messed up, and that her makeup is Smurfing. She touches her face in frustration, wanting to fix her appearance. A Smurf greets Smurfette cheerfully as she turns away from the mirror, saying hello. Smurfette looks annoyed and uninterested in returning the greeting, clearly preoccupied with her concerns. Smurfette firmly tells the other Smurf that no buts are allowed, and it is forbidden to Smurf your nose among the Smurfs. She gestures with determination, reinforcing the new rules she supports. At night, a tired Smurf lies to sleep in bed, thinking deeply about the code of conduct, admitting that it is Smurf-portant. Suddenly, a loud banging noise wakes Smurf up from his restless sleep, making him sit upright in bed, startled and alert to the disturbance. A Smurf approaches Handy Smurf house door holding a quill and paper, asking for some ink to write down his ideas for the code, but Handy Smurf sternly reminds him it is forbidden to be noisy at this hour. The next day, Papa Smurf arrives at a gathering where Smurfs are seated, confirming if all the contributions for the code have arrived, and Smurfette affirm they are as dedicated as Papa Smurf. Papa Smurf observes a Smurf carrying a large stack of papers, announcing that the suggestions for the code have all been submitted successfully. Papa Smurf argues against Grouchy Smurf's harsh stance, saying that forbidding singing, dancing, and music would ruin their ability to plan parties, while Grouchy Smurf bluntly states his hatred for parties. Papa Smurf reads out Lazy Smurf's suggestion to ban noisy work before 10 o'clock in the morning, but Handy Smurf dismisses it as nonsensical and ridiculous. Handy Smurf reluctantly agrees to a compromise, saying he will accept noisy work starting at 6 o'clock in the morning to show his goodwill. The other Smurfs protest loudly, reminding Handy Smurf that 6 o'clock is too early and they still have the right to sleep, and Handy Smurf retorts that they have the right to work, calling their complaints pointless. The Smurfs continue from arguing to raising fists over what time to start their activities, with one insisting it should be 10 o'clock while another firmly states 6 o'clock. After fighting each other back and forth, they reach a compromise to begin at 8 o'clock, and Handy Smurf agrees to put an end to the debate. Papa Smurf calls a meeting and declares he will put the suggestion to a vote, asking any Smurf who recognizes the proposal to raise their hand. The vote passes with a 2/3 majority, and Papa Smurf announces that Brainy Smurf will present the next suggestion. While waiting, some Smurfs start to feel sleepy, but one happily munches on snacks to stay alert, prompting a big yawn from another. Handy Smurf complains that the yawning is making him sleepy, but the other dismisses it, saying yawning is not forbidden yet. Later that night, Papa Smurf sighs with relief as Brainy Smurf informs him that all the suggestions have finally been processed. Papa Smurf assigns Brainy Smurf and Poet Smurf the important task of transferring their code carefully, warning them to watch out for spelling mistakes. Brainy Smurf and Poet Smurf struggle as they carry large stacks of papers, commenting on how copying everything is a difficult and troublesome job. Papa Smurf addresses a large gathering of Smurfs, declaring the meeting over and instructing them that once the code is copied, it can be retrieved at the library. Papa Smurf tells Brainy Smurf that, as a precaution, the code will be smurfed in 3 copies, with 1 copy specifically for Brainy's personal matters. Brainy Smurf listens attentively while holding stacks of papers, acknowledging the importance of careful distribution. After a while, a Smurf politely offers other Smurf to go first with his cart, but the cart-pulling Smurf insists that the polite Smurf has priority to proceed. Farmer Smurf asks if his scythe can be fixed, but the Handy Smurf refuses, explaining he is resting and cannot make any noise during his nap. Farmer Smurf looks disappointed but understands the situation. A Smurf inquires if Gardener Smurf will plant a tree in his garden, and Gardener Smurf confirms he will do so while carefully following the rules outlined in the code. Gardener Smurf counts his steps as he walks carefully, ensuring he measures the distance correctly while preparing to plant the code. Another Smurf watches him attentively, confirming the process. Gardener Smurf announces he will plant according to the code exactly 6 paces from fence, and another Smurf approves, satisfied that the rules are being respected. And that wraps up Chapter 1 of the Smurfs of the Law. This story will unfold over 7 exciting episodes, each around 10 to 15 minutes long. A new episode will be released every day, so don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next adventure.